Hello and welcome to the Briefing Room. I'm Bill Freilich from WTCM Radio. This is our weekly roundup of some of the stories that are making news headlines, and we're talking with some of the people who are responsible for putting out the content about some of those stories here in Northern Michigan. And we have two brand new guests at the Briefing Room table this week. To my right, Courtney Jerome from My North Media. Courtney, good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Hi, absolutely. Thanks for the invite.
And to my left is Michelle Nemmers from Up North Live, TV 7 and 4. Michelle, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
We want to talk to both of you about what you do at your respective places of employment. So I guess first let's start with job titles, and then let's get into what brought you to Northern Michigan, a little bit of your background. Courtney, what do you do with My North Media?
Sure, I'm the senior web editor at My North Media, so we are the parent company of Traverse Northern Michigan's magazine. So I am in charge of all the content that we put on our online home, so mynorth.com. So it's really fun. We'll grab content, of course, from Traverse Magazine. We'll write some original stuff, create videos, just a nice wide range of content that all is about the Northern Michigan lifestyle.
And that's really what this show today is about, is the online content for Northern Michigan, because that's your role at 7 and 4 too, right?
I do kind of the same thing. I'm the managing internet editor for UpNorthLive.com, which is also 7 and 4 and 29 and 8 on air. And I provide the content. I write it originally, breaking news. We post on social media and Facebook, and we push it out with our app, which I manage that as well. So we kind of just do a little bit, of everything and keeping people up to date.
Great. Well, Courtney, we'll go back to you for your background and what brought you, I should say, back to Northern Michigan. We'll find out more about that in just a minute. But give us, your career that has led you here.
Sure. Well, I'm glad to be back. I'm super geeked about it. This is my favorite place on the planet. So Traverse City is amazing, and I'm glad to be here. I've been living here with my husband since December, and working for My North Media for the last couple of months. But before that, before I did my undergrad at Oakland University, worked at a couple of stations, one on campus and one the public access channel there in Lake Orion, just north of OU's campus. And I did an internship at 7 and 4 the summer before my senior year, where we met.
That's right.
And after I graduated, I worked at CMU Public Television, so the PBS member station out of Mount Pleasant, broadcasting all across the state of Michigan, northern Metro Detroit, mid-Michigan, northern Michigan, total about 6 million viewers. So quite a large footprint, and I was a producer there for 7 years, producing and hosting local programming.
I was going to say, people who are loyal public television watchers on this station may recognize you from CMU.
Yes, yep. I still there's still shows that I've hosted that are rotating through, so.
Which shows were they? Because I know there was one where you did some traveling, I think, and then there was a Ask the Expert type of show.
Yes, exactly. So I guess over time my responsibilities shifted a bit, but by the time I departed, it was Destination Michigan, so a weekly magazine-style program where all that traveling took place. So I traveled all across the state to introduce our viewers to the people and places that make Michigan really unique. So that was a weekly magazine show that aired and still does on Monday nights at 7:30, and then an Ask the Specialist show, which is a live Q&A type of, kind of like this. We sit down and have a conversation about a variety of topics, but the difference there was people could call in, tweet, or Facebook their questions. Okay. So it was really audience driven. And
you're still doing some of that, because I just saw the other day you on a video for My North Media.
Yes. I'm really excited to be part of the video team at My North Media. We're doing kind of similar things to Destination Michigan, highlighting the people and places of Northern Michigan specifically that make this area absolutely fantastic. And the video that you're referring to was on the Warehouse Market, which is in downtown off Hall Street. And we went in and talked with all the business owners there and did a little feature and put that up on mynorth.com and our social media channels, and it's doing pretty well.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, good to have you back in Northern Michigan.
Thank you.
Michelle, let's talk about you. I know you've only been here for just a year and a half, you said?
Now, yeah.
But give us your background and what led you into this career.
Yeah, so like you said, I'm kind of fresh out of college and grew up in the Grand Rapids area, and I always joke with my parents, I'm like, I'm not going to move north. Well, I went to college at CMU, and so that's north of Grand Rapids, and got my broadcasting degree there. And then looking for jobs, and I told my parents, I'm going to move south. Well, I ended up in Traverse City at 7 and 4. I met my boss now at a career fair, and I just checked it out because I love Traverse City. Who doesn't love Traverse City? It's beautiful here. And he presented me with this digital opportunity, which I have never thought of before. And it was a new opportunity at 7 to 4. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to try it. And I love it now. A year and a half later, I'm in the same position. Like I said before, providing content that's immediate. That's different than going on with the 5 and 6 o'clock show. There's breaking news at noon, we're pushing that out on social media right away. So I think that's awesome. From college, I didn't think I would be doing that as a producer. I was just going to do, the 5 or 6, but now it kind of evolved into a role where it's so immediate, and that's what the digital world is so cool. So it's kind of fun how I ended up, starting south and keep heading north, but love Traverse City, and it's a great place to start.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, the position that you have is something that's, I think, kind of evolved across the industry really over the last 10 years.
Absolutely.
I mean, 10 years ago that position didn't exist, and
No.
All the other staff members, I think, at all broadcast outlets and media outlets have taken on more of a role on the internet. But now your station specifically has a position devoted to that.
Yeah, and when I came, I took over someone else's position, and now there's someone else working with me. So there's not just me. So the position is not just one now, it's 2, and that's going to continue to grow. And you're seeing that at a lot of different stations. Like, we're owned by Sinclair Broadcast Group, which is one of the largest broadcasting groups in the nation. And I have a digital call with every person, and they're in the digital world. And it's so cool because there is 4 or 5 people at some stations working in digital. So it's just growing so much, and that's what employers are looking for now. Like, 'cause that's where the day and age is going. Even just like corporations, not even just news outlets, are switching to digital to promote their items. So
I want to talk about what each of your average days are like, because I'm sure every day is different. And obviously, not being in news, I have less of an idea, what your average day is like, Courtney. So, what goes on behind the scenes for you? How much of it is devoted to Traverse Magazine versus some of the other content from My North?
Sure. Well, it does kind of vary day to day, but we put between 5 and 7 pieces of original content on mynorth.com daily. So about 1 or 2 will come from the magazine. The rest is original content or press releases, or perhaps some recipes that, everyone loves to create new items to present at the kitchen table, especially around the holidays like this with all the family gatherings. So it kind of varies the time of year. What's been popular, what people really want to see, and our stuff is new and it's up to date, like you were saying, that you do as well. And then some things are evergreen too, so they can last for quite a while. Like the Tunnel of Trees, people love the Tunnel of Trees, and we're their first and foremost place where they go to discover more about it. So it's pretty great.
That's pretty cool. Michelle, in terms of what you do, how much of the internet content for Up North Live is all written by you versus the reporters? Are they still, as we did back in the day, are they still posting each of their own stories every night? Do you help with that? I mean, who does what?
Yeah, usually I will be posting stories throughout the day, as the reporters are out, getting the stories, and by nighttime they're coming in, around 5 or 6, and then they'll post their story, and myself or Sarah, the other digital person, will go over their stories and look at them, and then we'll get them to the web. So I want to say it's about 50-50. So throughout the day, they'll mostly be by myself or Sarah, or towards the end of the night, it will be by our reporters. So you're getting a good mix. Our viewers aren't just getting stories done by me. And it's fun getting the reporter stories a little more in depth. We're getting, those interviews with the police, when I don't get that chance as much because I'm not going out and getting the story. I'm getting the press release and other information by phone calls, and they're getting the in-person interview, which they can get the emotion into the story online. So that's why you get a little bit of a mix. So later in the day, you'll find more of those long stories and videos posted.
The details.
Yeah.
So is it the type of situation where, the morning meeting happens at 9 o'clock or whenever you do it now, and the press release comes in, or you all talk about what the story is? You may have a 1-paragraph version of that out online until the reporter gets back?
You're right. I'll get it up, say it's breaking news. I'll get it up right away. We'll push it out on social media and on our website, and the reporter will go out, and if it's a developing story, they'll give me a call back, and I'll put more of the details up why they're out doing the story, and then they'll come back and put the whole thing together. So by the nighttime, our viewers get the whole story. They get every little detail that we know, and we pass it along to them. So it's kind of a little piece by piece, but the reporters, when they come in at night, they'll make sure we have every little detail that we need.
And Courtney, in terms of what you do, again, how much of that is your content versus the other staff members? You mentioned some of those stories come from Traverse Magazine. I know you have a lot of writers over there that contribute as well.
Oh yes, we have a great team of writers and photographers that just put together some incredible stories. So we'll take one or two of those from the current issue a day to put on mynorth.com, and the rest of those 5 to 7 are some original pieces. It's probably one or two are press releases, and then the rest is original. So we have our editorial staff that is hard at work doing their variety of tasks every single day, but they also help out for our content. We have a web writer, Carly Simpson. She's amazing. She's just has this way with words, and she's a very hard worker, and she is great at putting out a ton of original content. She recently is all about what's going on in Star Wars and where you can catch those premieres. The Bijou's doing some great things, and of course there's the new theater going in where the old outlet mall used to be.
Oh.
So she's out there getting interviews and making sure she knows everything that's going on, kind of like what your reporters are doing, and she's writing that content. And then we have our other editors, Jeff Smith. You've had him on. He's he's been great. He's been doing a little series on interviewing general managers of ski resorts as the upcoming downhill ski and snowboard season is coming. So he's been having some Q&As with them and having those general managers take selfies, which is really fun. So you see all these gentlemen holding out their phones, and they're taking their selfies, posing at the ski hill. You can see the lift behind them or their favorite set of skis or something like that, and really informative content of what's new on that hill or something along those lines. And then Alyssa Edwards has been all over The Curse of Oak Island. I don't know if you've heard of that show on the History Channel, but the Lagina brothers are from northern Michigan, so it's an excellent tie-in to us, and she's been talking with them on a weekly basis and finding out what's new on each episode, and people are loving it. We're getting so much traffic to our site because of her articles. So we have a great editorial team working on all the content.
Well, I want to talk about the traffic and what how you guys keep track of what works and what doesn't work in just a minute too. But the other part of this show today, specifically because you guys are internet content, you ladies are internet content, is that there is only so much space in Traverse Magazine. There's only so much time allotted in the 5 and 6 o'clock news, and really the internet has made it so much more broad-reaching for how much more we can get out to our readers, our viewers, our listeners, that kind of thing. So I imagine it's got to be nice to have a little bit more flexibility. You don't get square inches or pages or 30 seconds to tell a story.
Right, absolutely. And our 5 o'clock producer works with us a lot too, because if a reporter or they can't put a whole story within 30 seconds, they'll tease it to our website. For more information, go to upnorthlive.com, and we can tell all the details. We can, put the dates and the times, where in 30 seconds on a TV, broadcast, you can't put that all in. So we do have that little more freedom to put all those details in it, where, the news is, straightforward, it's fast, it's quick. So we kind of play together with our producers is to direct them to our website, which helps us too, gets us more views on our website, but we help each other in those aspects.
Well, I know you're putting out stories constantly throughout the day, Facebook, Twitter, same thing for you guys. You have a daily e-newsletter that goes out that I'm sure helps with that too.
Yeah, it's really nice when you're able to take the content in the magazine and really expand on it in an online presence. So say, for example, our December issue, we had some recipes, some cookie recipes on there, and it said, for another recipe by Ruth Ann from Ruth Ann's Gourmet Bakery in Bel Air, head to mynorth.com. So on mynorth.com, we had an additional recipe for her. In addition to that, we had a video where she was showing us her frosting tips. I mean, she got me completely hooked. I went home and I need to buy this, and I need to buy this, and I need to buy this, so I can now make my own cookies and frost them at home just the way, Ruthie does it. And that's how I'm gonna do my Christmas cookies this year. And mind you, I haven't started it yet, but I have all the supplies.
Plenty of time.
And I have very good intentions to do it. Yes, a few more weeks. So it's just it's a really great way to expand that content when you run out of space in the magazine or within your program, where you can really spread that out.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a break. Let's come back in just a minute. We'll have more with Courtney and Michelle right after this. You're watching The Briefing Room. We'll be right back.
I left my home in New York City and traveled down to New Orleans.
Welcome back to the Briefing Room. I'm Bill Freilich from WTCM Radio, and we're talking today with Michelle Nemmers from UpNorthLive.com and Courtney Jerome from My North Media. Welcome back. Thanks again, ladies, for coming in.
Thank you.
I want to talk a little bit about how you keep track of the internet content that you're putting out there and the social media that you do use. And analytics is a term that's exploded, I guess, in the last couple of years as well. And that's really just a way to keep track of what's working, what's not, how many viewers or readers you're getting online. So tell me how much attention you pay to that, because really when internet content started, nobody even knew how to keep track of that, and that's a new technology that's changing things pretty quickly.
Sure. Well, today it's pretty important. You need to know if all that hard work that you are dedicating to something is truly reaching your audience. And if it's not, well, then you have to kind of explore what you can do to change that, because you want to make sure your content is relevant. You want to make sure that the time of day that you're posting it, what type of content on what day, and that, applies for online in all those different forms, whether it is your homepage or if it is any of your social media channels. And you have to really take a look at who your audience is. And the farther you can really dig into that and get to know your demographic, your audience, the more you can tailor your content to them. Sure. And then it's a win-win.
Yeah. How about you, Michelle? You guys keep track of that hour by hour, day by day?
Usually it is almost hour by hour. Sometimes we get reports back, after we posted something, we can see the direct engagement on that, and we kind of take a step back and say, what could we have done better with this post? Or should we have posted this a little bit later to get that audience that we were looking for? So it's kind of a science behind it, and you kind of got to play the game with it. It's like if you post a story at 9 a.m. versus noon, we know what one's going to be better for that specific story, whether it's hard news, more fluffy news, or weather. So there's a real science behind it, and you were looking at your stats for online, Facebook, and Twitter. So there's all different things that you can look at and make sure you're, like she said, the time of the day and when to post it. So.
We've had Jeremy McBain from the Petoskey News Review. He's the editor up there. He's been on this show several times, and we've talked with him about analytics, and they take it to the extreme. Maybe that's the wrong word, but they take it to the point of changing the order of the stories on their website. If such a story is only getting read or seen by so many people, well, then people don't care about that story, so we'll drop it down, and vice versa. They'll move stories up. Do you watch that closely at My North? Do you say, this is a huge story, let's put it in a different place, or make it one of our headline stories?
We do. It's important to take a look at that, I feel. And, if maybe there's one story that's really going to hit your evening audience, you're going to want to make sure that, before you leave at 5 o'clock, that is your main head story, on your homepage, or perhaps your traffic goes to your Facebook page more in the evening. So your top story of the day, you'll wait until post that until right before those evening peak hours occur. So you can really tailor it to the audience.
Michelle, same for you guys?
Yeah, well, same with us. But if it's breaking news, we kind of have the term, it breaks all news. And with the California shootings, this kind of goes, we posted this story and our engagement was huge. We have national writers who write for us, and we posted it, and it was funny. A lady who moved to California, she's from Traverse City, wrote on there, it said, "Good job, Up North Live. I heard the news first from you before the local people in California." So it just kind of goes that Facebook's everywhere. It follows you, and she was still following us and saw the news with us first, and she only lived an hour away from where the shooting took place. Oh, so we thought that was kind of cool. And, breaking news, it will spread out faster, and there's no really science for that.
Yeah, that's very true, and it's always been a long-standing rule in journalism to know your audience, and I imagine that's especially true with what we're talking about now with the web content, whether we're, writing for moms who are staying at home, right, or the business professionals, man or woman, versus your audience at Traverse Magazine and My North.
Right, absolutely.
What is do you have a specific target audience that you write for in mind? I mean, obviously you want to reach everybody, so
right,
we don't single anybody out, but.
Right, we do. Facebook tends to be more women. I mean, anywhere you go and anyone where you're writing. So when we post something to Facebook, we are, trying to target, grab into women, which is easy for me because it's like I can just write what that's going to make me engaged. And we also, try to target people downstate because Traverse City is such a tourist area. We have people who follow us who aren't living in Traverse City right now, who they come up in the summer. So we're trying to pull down why do the downstaters care about what I'm posting? So we kind of pull that in and say, this is why you guys should care and listen to this right now and read this.
Same for you guys?
It's pretty similar, yes. Definitely on Facebook, it's really nice, the analytics you can look at there. They're very detailed. They've been working hard at making sure that businesses can succeed on their site. And, we can tell that our audience is 70% women compared to 30% male. So you look at it that way, that's a pretty staggering percentage. So it helps in knowing, maybe women are going to be interested in recipes. So we're going to make sure on National Pastry Day that we're putting out some nice pastry recipes that will really capture their interest and some engagement, and then they'll try it at home, and maybe that recipe came from a local chef. So you have that Northern Michigan connection, and that people are doing that recipe now at home, and they've you just get that Northern Michigan spirit, and it's one of a kind here.
Is the analytics has come to the point where you can tell male, female, and whether or not they're geographically from the area?
Yeah, male, female, or where they're coming from. Even in the United States, sometimes you can even see nation. I can see there's someone in Turkey reading this article, which is kind of crazy. That always freaks me out when someone out of the this country is reading our story. So it's come down to the nitty gritty and ages. It's almost creepy how analytics work now, because you can just see everything that's going on and how instantaneous it is.
And I'm sure as an audience member, as a reader, or as a viewer, that could maybe make them a little bit uneasy, going, oh, these strangers that I don't know know a bit about me that I don't know if I'm comfortable in sharing. But if you think about it, because we know a little bit more about them, we're able to give them more content that they want.
Absolutely, yeah.
So really, it's beneficial, less creepy.
It's still
look at it that
anonymous.
way.
It's not,
Yes, it's still anonymous.
Yes.
I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to have both of you on the program here today, because I think that's something that this audience really finds interesting, is all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. It's one thing to say, someone posts a story so I can read it, but how we decide what that story is and where it goes on the website and how often it gets promoted, those are all big factors.
Yeah. It's a pretty interesting backstory behind how we do everything.
What about the use of social media? Let's talk about that for a minute. Facebook,
Sure.
Twitter, Instagram. What do you use, and what seems to catch on here in Northern Michigan?
We seem to use just about everything. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Pinterest, we have Instagram. I would say that our largest channel is Facebook. We have a lot of great engagement there. Pinterest is great for Northern Michigan weddings. Instagram, I mentioned Carly before, but she's doing an amazing job at really launching our Instagram page. Direct linking back to mynorth.com. She's out and about in Northern Michigan, capturing some really pretty scenery. And of course, we have our photo of the day with people from everywhere. If they see anything gorgeous, if it's landscape or just something uniquely Northern Michigan, they snap a photo, they send it to us, we put it on our website, we put it up on our Facebook, we put it up on Instagram. We just share the love with, an appreciation that they sent us their beautiful photo, and everyone else appreciates it too, because the likes will just go skyrocketing when there's a gorgeous, Sleeping Bear Dunes photo, or you see the waves crashing in the shore, and everyone can just take a moment of zen and go, oh, I remember last time I visited there, I loved it, I want to go back, and then we get people out there.
We get a ton of those comments. So we post any kind of Northern Michigan photo, and we put a caption on it, and we get a lot of people downstate. It's like, oh, I miss it up there. I can't wait to come back. And it gets thousands of likes because people love Northern. They love the beauty of it. Even if they don't live here, they're still engaged with it, and that's what social media does. And sharing photos of Northern Michigan is one of the coolest things because it is beautiful. And for us, Facebook and Twitter are just huge. And in the news world, it's a little different for Instagram and Pinterest. it's hard to grab that following like you guys do versus, breaking news. It's hard to post that breaking news photo on Instagram because Instagram isn't known to be, as quick versus Facebook and Twitter are just, it's immediate and people are on there. They're always on their phones looking. So social media is the way we get news out.
But we did talk during the break too that Facebook definitely seems to be the primary social media of choice. Twitter does not seem to have caught on here in northern Michigan as it does across the country.
Yeah, it seems to be, a lot about what to tweet. I know the lunch hour is the biggest hour of the day, so the noon to 1 hour for Twitter seems to be where our posts can reach the most people as possible. But we aren't necessarily breaking news like you are, so Twitter isn't, that's what that channel is amazing at doing.
Yeah,
while we do have some, great news content, it's we wouldn't necessarily cover the shootings in California like you mentioned. So Twitter doesn't suit a purpose for us in that way. But if there are some national stories like that will, or at least will grab the national attention, like Lissa's Oak Island features with the History Channel, and those Northern Michigan ties, tweets like that do wonderful. Or when we featured how much Coach Jim Harbaugh of the University of Michigan football, how he fell in love with Northern Michigan, and that was one of the reasons why he ended up coaching for U of M. Tweeting that out, yes, that grabs attention. Putting a recipe on Twitter, not so much. So it kind of depends on the content too.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Same with us, Twitter isn't we don't get as much engagement on there. I think our biggest engagement, our biggest win, I like to call it, is when Joshua Davis, Traverse City native, was on The Voice.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a couple instant saves where Kristen Lowe, our anchor, was out there, and our Twitter blew up because, it was a nationwide thing. People were going to our Twitter to retweet to save Joshua Davis. And I think he was saved a couple times because of Twitter. And, we're a huge part of that. So that was our biggest Twitter win.
Twitter success.
Yeah, Facebook definitely is more predominant in this area.
Yes. Our demographics, you take a look, and our number one location where our fans are from, it's Traverse City. There are other northern Michigan towns, of course, as well, but the number one is by far Traverse City.
Well, we've hit on a topic, and now I feel like we could go another half hour with this. So we'll have to. That's a good excuse to have you guys back. We're out of time already. But thank you so much to both of you for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Good to have you with us. Courtney Jerome from MyNorth Media, mynorth.com.
Yes, sir.
All right, and upnorthlive.com, Michelle Nevers.
Thank you.
Great to have you guys. Thanks so much, and thanks for joining us. I'm Bill Fralick from WTCM Radio, and we'll catch you right here next time on The Breaking News.